ruthless nerf herders, listen up! Welcome back, I'm Captain Xavier, and today I'm going to be going over the crew's officer corps, as well as the new recruits, who will probably be acting as officers in most of the upcoming events this summer. First up, we have crewman recruit Nick. Nick has been coming to our local Nerf Wars for several years, and so I recruited him as he served under me at Ragnarok Oktoberfest as a corporal. Sadly, he did not make it to the last stand, but he did serve with distinction. He will be attending West vs. Zombies as well as Ragnarok Oktoberfest again this year. He favors a very light loadout. He generally favors hammer shots, but he likes to carry lots of them. So he'll be acting as an NCO in probably the Scouts. That is how I used him at Ragnarok Oktoberfest, and so that's probably how I'll continue using him going forward. He can be easily identified by his rugged good looks, his red and black shamag, and if masks are allowed, he will be wearing this mask. Up next, we have crewman recruit Luchathor from the Luchathor 13 YouTube channel. He originally got into our group through me. He found my YouTube channel and then ordered one of my blasters off of Etsy, and since he was local, I asked if he wanted to meet up rather than me shipping it, and he said sure. We met up, we exchanged contact information, he started coming to our local Nerf events, and things went downhill from there. He eventually started his own YouTube channel, which is Luchathor13. You should definitely check that out. He's been nerfing with us for a couple of years, and he also served as a corporal for me at Ragnarok Oktoberfest. He made it to the last stand, but unfortunately got taken out by a noodler and did not survive the whole event. He favors some fairly ridiculous builds, which are awesome, including this one, his singled ultimator that he calls the Godslayer. He also has a rainbow pistol with a plunger tube the size of a Caliburn, with a full K26 in it, and his blaster of choice for these events will probably be his brushless Raven. As such, he will either be in my squadron, or he will be leading a squad of heavies of some description. He can be identified by his white and black shamag, and he will probably be wearing a pink hat. Next, we have crewman recruit Beret, who usually wears a beret. In fact, he'll probably be wearing a beret anytime that you see him. He is also a local nerfer and YouTuber. You should check out his YouTube channel, Beret. It is full of ridiculous and absurd things, and I absolutely love it. And that is kind of how he generally nerfs. He likes using ridiculous loadouts and having a lot of fun with it. And he's very agile and very, very skilled. He's been nerfing and doing HVZ for probably as long as I have, if not longer. And as such, he will probably be an NCO in one of the scout squadrons or skirmishers. He was at Ragnarok Oktoberfest, though he was one of the other team leaders, so he did not serve under me there. He will be attending Jared's Epic Nerf Battle, West vs. Zombies, End War, and I believe Ragnarok Oktoberfest. So you should get an opportunity to meet him, and he's gonna have to get used to getting promoted, so that should be a lot of fun. He can be identified, of course, by the fact that he'll be wearing a beret, as well as a black and green shamag. Speaking of folks who are just gonna have to get used to getting promoted, up next we have crewman recruit Lance. Lance has been nerfing with me for the better part of 8 years. He was at WSU when we first started playing there as the Black Knights, and served, played for the 4 years that he was in college, and then when he graduated, he moved out here. And he was the one who actually invited me to the first Nerf War that I went to out here, where I then met Walcom, and all of that got started. So he is very familiar with the way the crew operates, as well as extremely good at HVZ. He served as my sergeant at Ragnarok Oktoberfest, and he did survive to the end. Largely because he helped create Omega Squadron at that event, which were able to take out and keep the super zombies from wiping us out. So he is going to have to get used to getting promoted. He is going to be at West vs. Zombies, End War, and Ragnarok Oktoberfest, I believe. So you should get a chance to see him. He can be easily identified by his tan and black shamag. That takes care of all the recruits. We're now going to start looking at the officer corps of the actual crew. All of these members have been with me for probably a decade, in most cases, if not all of them. They've fought in countless medieval wars. They have fought in countless HVZs. They have been involved in some of our private security work. They are good men and veterans. So I don't know how many of them you'll get to see. Not as many of them will be attending events, which is one of the reasons I started recruiting locally from the local nerfers that I knew were going to be going to events so that I could get that solid officer corps. But let's take a look at some of them. Up first, we have Lance Corporal Alex. He has been with us, I'm not even sure how long. He was a friend of several other crew members and then got recruited that way. He has served in numerous wars, both in medieval recreation, where he goes by the name of Mishka, and as well as numerous HVZs with us. So I don't know if he'll be attending any events. The ones closest to him would be West vs. Zombies, so you may see him there. Up next, we have Lance Corporal Astrid, who is also our quartermaster and our seamstress. You may know her as SeamstressAtArms. She also has a YouTube channel that you should definitely check out. She has been with us also, I don't know how many years, but she also started in the medieval recreation world as a combatant. She fought in several wars with us. I believe she was there when we defeated the Emperor, probably there when we put at least one Emperor on the throne. She has also fought in countless HVZs with us and has provided many of us with our uniforms and our garb and all sorts of other things. She will be, hopefully in the near future, providing garb for the auxiliary in the form of headbands and armbands and other embroidered items, as we have acquired an embroidery machine, and once we get that set up, you'll be able to buy things from her Etsy shop. So that should be a lot of fun. I don't know that she will be attending any events this year, but again, West vs. Zombies would be the closest. She is one of the officers that is on deck to go to End War, should any of the other ones not be able to. So you may see her at End War, depending on what ends up happening. Next, we have Corporal Ulrich. Ulrich has been with us nearly since the beginning. He's one of our older recruits and officers. He became a corporal on the field of battle as a result of wrangling auxiliary who just couldn't seem to stay in the line on our shield wall. And so we ended up promoting him after he demonstrated that he was exactly what we were looking for in a corporal. He has been a bouncer. He's part of our private security company. He does loss prevention and is also a Landsknecht. So he fought with us in the medieval days, wielding a great sword, as well as all of the HVZs that we did for WSU and the U of I. He should be attending End War. He may also be at West vs. Zombies, as that is also kind of up in our neck of the woods, but we will see. Here is Ulrich and SeamstressAtArms, as well as the lieutenant that you'll meet here in a bit, in their Landsknecht garb. They all play Landsknechts, or in the case of SeamstressAtArms, Astrid, she is a Kampffrau, but she also fights just alongside them. And she made a good deal of the garb that they're wearing, and all of her garb, and has made, as I said, a great deal of all of our uniforms and garb over the years. So they're an interesting lot. The last of the NCOs is Sergeant Major Kyle. Now, Kyle has been with the crew since the moment it started. He and I formed the crew back in the realms of Avalon, and he has been with me ever since. He's fought in all of the every war we've ever done. He was there when we put both emperors on the throne, as well as when we defeated the emperor. He was there when we almost took the estates hostage. He would have been the one on guard. That was actually before the crew was formed. He formed the private security company, MDLM Securities. He and I formed that together. He is a volunteer firefighter. He is an EMT, and he is a veteran of both Iraq and Afghanistan. So there are few people I would rather have next to me in a real fight. He will be at End War and possibly West vs. Zombies, again, depending on scheduling. That takes care of all of the NCOs. The only other commissioned officer, other than myself, is Lieutenant Wolfric Snorrison. Wolfric has been with us since he was, I think, 13 or 14. Since he's been old enough to fight, he's been fighting with us. He has also been with the crew for almost as long as it has existed. Was actually the commanding officer for a brief time when I had to step down due to personal issues. But he never took the title of captain. He remained a lieutenant because he was sure that I would come back, and I did. And he did lead the crew to victory in at least one war that I was unable to attend to due to work. So he is also in security. He's part of our security company as well as doing security in real world. He is also a Lange Connect, much like Ulrich. And he will be attending End War, and that's the only one that I know of for sure that he will be at. The final person I'm going to mention is not actually an officer, either commissioned or uncommissioned. He is our law speaker, and that is Snorri Bjornsson. Yes, the Snorri of whom Wulfric is the son. He is, in fact, the lieutenant's father. And he's our law speaker, which is not exactly an officer title. It's more of an independent position of authority. He's kind of the crew's lawyer, for lack of a better term. He has also been with us early on. I knew him in the medieval world long before the crew was created, and then reconnected with him after the crew was created, and he and his son joined, and has been absolutely invaluable throughout the crew's existence. But as I said, he's our lawyer, he's our law speaker, he speaks the laws, as it were. He is also our minister. As you can see here, he is actually officiating over the wedding of 2 other crew members who met in the crew, if that gives you some idea of how close-knit the crew is. It very much is family to all of us, and in fact, more of a family than some of our members' actual families, which is both tragic and beautiful that they were able to find somewhere that was as good, if not better, than their family. So that is the officer corps that you will be seeing at many of the upcoming events. Some of the events I may be going to by myself, but there will be auxiliary officers that will be commissioned or non-commissioned, field promotions, as it were, as needed. But these are the ones I'm hoping to bring to build kind of the core, to give you an idea of what I expect from NCOs and from officers, so that we can start building an actual auxiliary officer corps from veterans who attend multiple events and who have experience and have all of that. So hopefully this will give you some idea of what we look like and you'll be able to better identify them. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, suggestions, go ahead and put them in the comment section down below, and bangarang!